What's up, guys? Welcome back. Ricky here. Okay, so I have had a couple people ask me if I can show my face on my sharpening videos. I really prefer not to show my face on camera, but so if you guys actually don't want to see my face, just let me know. So anyway, this is trying things out, and again, I just try to play with things and accommodate folks who want to see my videos. Oh, before I forget, make sure you guys subscribe to me on Twitter or follow me on Twitter and on Facebook. I'm also going to do some announcements on Instagram. I've had a company reach out to me recently, and they are going to give away 16 knives. Okay, so for the next 16 weeks, I'm going to be giving away one knife per week. And so if you guys don't want to miss out on that giveaway, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be a really cool company working with me to give these knives away. So no strings attached. Just follow me on Twitter, and then every video that I post, I will be announcing the actual giveaway. And so you guys just simply need to comment. And then comment on Twitter, and then that's really it. So really simple stuff, okay? And so anyways, I am continuing my sharpening session of my knives friends, my friends' knives. And this is the Wusthof gourmet paring knife that has been chipped. And so if you guys can see, I actually painted, or I actually used a Sharpie to kind of mark my kind of the profile of the knife that I want. Okay, so from that angle you guys can see the chip, but from here you guys may not. It may look like a complete knife, but it's actually not. But from the top angle you guys will see that this knife is actually it's got a really big tip broken off. So so today let me just walk you guys through the stone selection. I have the Sharpening Pro 120 for my coarse, which is what I'll use to grind the knife down with. Then I'll have my Sharpening Glass 500. And then after that, I've got my Coarse 1000. Okay, so again, this is really just a mix of combinations that I'm trying out. You guys don't have to use this combination, and the reason I'm stopping at the Coarse 1000, because for a paring knife, you really don't need a really ultra polished edge. You just need a good sharp edge, and so that's what I'm using. Again, you guys don't have to follow this formula. I'm just mixing and matching different stones just to see how they actually work out. So I'm going to start with the Sharpening Pro 120. We'll see how this works. I also have my Diamond Atoma 140 here. So if this stone doesn't make quick work of the grinding that it's required for this knife, I will throw it onto the diamond plate and see how that holds up. And if that doesn't do the the sharpening that I want, I would just go out into the concrete on the street, grind the knife down, come back inside, and we'll go from there. But I think the 120 will actually work fairly well. Let me just loosen this up here. Yeah, so again, I'm doing a series where I sharpen cheap knives, or just knives of friends and family, or friends or subscribers. So if you guys live in the Los Angeles area and you guys want your knives featured on my channel, just reach out to me on Twitter, Facebook, or on YouTube is fine too. And the reason I'm actually kind of changing or altering my way of communication, more preferred on Twitter and Facebook, is because their messages come more in a linear fashion. Versus on YouTube, where the messages come in threads. So if I reply to a thread that you posted a week ago, and I try to go back to to my most recent messages, and you just wrote me a day ago, I actually won't see that message you wrote me unless I go back to the original thread. So it makes it really inefficient for me to write back and to respond to older messages from previous threads. That's why I'm actually going more towards a Twitter or Facebook style messaging system. Okay, that's really the only reason. I'm actually trying to answer more messages that way. But okay, so enough of the talk. Alright, so as you guys see, I've actually lined my profile out, and so I'm basically going to grind down as much of the metal as I can to close to with the profile, and once I get to the profile, then I'll start actually sharpening the knife. So when you're trying to grind down a knife, you basically don't want to use the surface of the stone that you sharpen on, because that way you don't want to really drive in grooves into the stone itself. You can use the corners. That actually works pretty well. I'm actually going to use the sides of this stone and see how it works out, and if it doesn't work, then I'll throw it into the diamond plate. But yeah, so let's just get this thing started, and we will see how this actually works out. Yeah, so I can definitely feel the kind of a line developing on the side of the stone. So you definitely don't want to use this on the surface. And if you do, instead of grinding straight down, you actually would lean the knife at an angle and grind down that way, which I'll do when I get closer to where my profile needs to be. Okay, what I'm also doing while I'm actually grinding down is I'm actually, instead of grinding down in a linear fashion where I'm just pushing into the stone, I'm actually rocking the knife and giving it a profile as well. It helps with the reprofiling later on when you're actually shaping the knife, and you don't have to waste too much time trying to get the right edge or right shape. And also, if you are doing the knife on the side, you don't want to have your fingers directly across, because you can definitely slip, and you know, it probably won't cut you that bad because this is a really dull knife. But just a good idea to keep your fingers away from the actual edge itself. Okay, I'm developing a little groove here on the stone, but it should be fine. It's not going to hurt the stone at all. Obviously, the fastest way to do this is with a sanding belt, but I don't have one here. So, but for those who are knife smiths, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can see here it's starting to take shape. So at this point, I'm not going to quite go on to the top of the stone yet. It's just, if I take off another 1/4 inch or another, not a 1/4 inch, maybe like another 3 or 4 millimeters, then I will go to the top of the stone. Yeah, I'm going to switch out to the diamond plate at this point and see how the diamond plate does. The profile is starting to come together. So, and now because there's not a really sharp edge on the knife, I'm not going to worry about damaging the diamond plate. So this is the 140 side. I'm going to go on the sides and the edges of the plate. Okay, and at this point, because this is the tip of the knife and you actually want that belly to be developed, you want to go with broader strokes instead of just linear grinding into the stone. By doing that, you create flat spots, which make it kind of difficult to remove later on. So you want to go broad strokes at this point. And you want to use as much of the edge of the stone as possible, okay? Because these areas here don't get a lot of attention when you're sharpening your knives. So you want to utilize the fresh diamonds on the stone. Okay, so have a look here. So you can see that we're starting to develop a tip. We're still a little ways away, but we're getting there. And some of you guys may be wondering about thinning the knife at this point. This is a fairly thin knife. It's a paring knife, so I'm not going to worry too much about thinning. Once I get the profile that I want, then I will do maybe just a couple minutes of thinning and to see how it actually holds up. But other than that, I'm not going to worry about too much about thinning for a knife of this size. Okay, so right now I'm going broader strokes because I'm actually working the belly. When you see me doing these little small straight strokes, I'm actually just working the tip of the knife. And so I go back and forth between tip and belly, so that you don't, so that the knife actually develops more evenly. Okay, so we're getting very close now. Okay, so now, as you guys can see here, we're getting very close to a tip. And we're just another millimeter or so away from achieving an actual tip on this knife. So at this point, I am going to avoid going directly into the stone, okay, because now you're actually starting to develop a bevel now. And when you go directly into the stone, you shave away that metal, and then when you're trying to kind of re-bevel the knife, you're going to take away more metal. And so at this point, I'm going to avoid going directly into the stone. And I'm just going to simply work the sides at a 30° to 45° angle until I get to the profile I want. Then I will have achieved a pretty good bevel for this knife. And then I actually will also, it's full of chips at this point. You guys, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the bottom 3/4 of the knife is just full of chips. And so I'll remove that with the 120 grit stone and then hop on the 500 grit stone. Okay, so now I have achieved a very round tip, which is good because now I'm going to throw on the 120 grit stone, give a little bit more precision to the sharpening. Okay. All right, here we go. Now the reason I'm on the 120 is because it sharpens almost as fast as the 140 diamond, but it's a little bit slower cutting, and it also allows me to see the grain of the cutting better, and also it just it's a little bit more precise than the diamond stone or diamond plate. try and get the edge of the stone here. Okay, so we're getting very, very close. And now what I'm doing now is I'm getting broader strokes, and I'm also incorporating actual sharpening of the knife's 3/4, the bottom three quarters of the knife as well, so that we can get a sharp knife as well as get the tip that we need. I'm just checking the stone to see how the stone's actually doing. Making sure I don't wear the stone down too quickly on any one area. I'm going to turn the stone around. Okay, so we're very close now. So we have a decent profile. I think the profile there is nice for a paring knife. And we just got to work on the tip a little bit more. Then we'll get the actual sharpening process down. Okay, let's see. All right, yeah, we have a pretty good tip happening. Just another 1/2 millimeter, and then we can start the sharpening process on this knife. And make sure we have a nice profile. So again, just working the edges of the stone. Alright, so I think we have a pretty decent profile there. And for a paring knife, you don't want to have the sharpest tip because, again, with really pointy tips, there's always a chance of something breaking. So the tip is pretty good at this point. It's probably pretty close to what you get from the factory for a paring knife. So now I'm going to start the sharpening process. And I'm just going to sharpen just like I'll sharpen any other knife. Let's go back and forth a couple times. And because this knife has never been sharpened on a whetstone, basically has lost the original bevel. So I'm going to reset the bevel, give it a little bevel. Because right now, if you look at the knife under a microscope, it's basically like this, really, really blunt. And if you sharpen it now, it'll get sharp, but then it won't stay sharp for very long. So I'm going to give it a little bit more of a better cutting profile, and hopefully it will stay sharp for a little bit longer. And I'm just going to take my time. I'm not going to rush anything. Okay. So what you can do is you can lean the knife completely flat and just press on the tip end, raise the knife a little bit, and that will help you kind of achieve that that bevel you need for this knife. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, so essentially you're thinning the knife at the very, very tip right now. And do that very lightly, and just take your time. Okay. Okay, so this knife is done with this stone. Okay, I'll move on to the 500 grit stone right now. Okay, so let's get the 500 stone going. And this stone feels so good. If you guys have never used this stone and you want to see other sharpening videos of it, I will have them posted, but this is just such a nice stone. Okay, I'm just going to take my time. Go back and forth a couple times. Just remove any of the harsh materials that's laying around that just is going to cause me any issues in terms of sharpening. Now you've seen these black marks on the edges of the stone. It's basically the handle, and because of the way these knives are designed, it's really hard to avoid because the handle, this technically is the ferrule on a Japanese knife. This comes right up to the actual cutting edge, and it's kind of hard to avoid. But it's plastic, so it really won't hurt your stone, so don't worry about it. Or I'm not worried about it. I don't know if you guys have the exact same knife or not. All right. Okay, just feeling the stone, see how it's holding up. And this is a fairly soft knife, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so now I'm just going to go broad strokes. Essentially I'm stropping right now, removing any unnecessary burrs on the knife. Basically, I'm just counting down at this point. I'm going at this right now. I'm going to go 8 strokes. I'll go 8 strokes on this side. I'm going 6 strokes. Going 6 strokes over here. Now we're down to 4 strokes. Going 2 strokes. I'll go 2 strokes a few times. Okay, I'll go 1 stroke. Pull off any unnecessary burrs from the knife. Alright, so now we're going to throw on the Coarse. Right. So I'm just going to do some really simple broad strokes here. Going from top tip to the heel. I'll do that a few times. See how the knife is holding up. Again, this is a really soft steel, and this is a I hate to use the word crappy, but it's not the best knife in my opinion. Definitely not the best steel out there, so it will only get so sharp. This is one of those steels where you just you do what you can, but don't expect too much from this knife. Okay, so now I'm going to strop. I'm just going to go single strops for a few minutes here. Okay, so here's the finished knife. It's got an okay edge. I wouldn't say it's anything to brag about, but it's definitely better than before. And you know, with this sort of a knife, you really won't benefit going anything over 1,000 grit. So I'm not going to waste too much energy and time on this knife. My main goal for this knife was to fix the broken tip, give it a relatively decent cutting edge, something that can still prolong the knife's life and usage in the kitchen. Okay. Alright, there's the stone. It's looking good. Alright, let's dry this knife off and do a little cut test. let's see here what we got. Okay, not bad. The most important thing is the tip is fixed, and we have an okay cutting knife. Okay. Not super sharp, but it's about as sharp as this knife will get, considering the really soft steel that it has. Okay, and again, this is a paring knife. You don't need paring knives to be razor sharp, but this is just as sharp as this knife will ever get. Okay, definitely will cut your finger if you try to mess with it. So yeah, I mean, that took, I don't know how long that took, a half an hour or something like that. And you know, not a knife that I normally would sharpen in my studio, at least not for my audience, but considering a friend asked me to repair his broken tip, I took the opportunity to sharpen this knife and also show you guys how I repair my knives. But yeah, very simple to do. It really just takes a little bit of time and some patience and some coarse stones, a medium stone, and a fine stone. This is still really just a medium stone. You know, I'm not going to go beyond a 1000 grit stone because it really won't benefit the paring knife. But overall though, I mean, it just took a little bit of time. The knife does have a clean edge at this point. It still, you know, has some rust spots on it, but it will be usable for another few years in the kitchen. But yeah, that'll be it, guys. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like it and share it. And if you guys live in the Los Angeles area, swing on by. Alright, we'd love to have your knives here in my studio. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching. And remember to follow me on Twitter and on Facebook, because I will be announcing the giveaways on those two platforms. And maybe even Instagram as well. Just depending how things go. But alright guys, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.